Hello, welcome to Discussing Fitchburg Now. I'm your host, Sam Squailia. Our show this week is on mosquito control and pest control, mosquito and pest control. So in our first half, we're going to have the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project, and then coming on for the second half, we have expert pest control in Fitchburg. So joining me now, I have Tim Deschamps. Tim Deschamps?
Yes.
Yes, from the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is a state agency.
Yes.
To control the mosquito population, and you do a number of other services as well.
Yes, we are a year-round program that offers 8 distinct services to our residents in our member communities. There is surveillance, which is trapping adult mosquitoes, having them tested for disease. There is larval control, where we will go into wetlands and do applications to get the mosquitoes before they hatch out. There's a spraying program, which is, as you would imagine, ongoing right now, and currently we're very busy with.
This is the spraying season?
Yes. There's a research and efficacy department where we test our products to make sure they're working properly. We have a tire recycling program, which actually has been very well accepted by the community of Fitchburg. We've done a lot of tire recycling in the city. We have a beaver control program where we try to minimize the negative aspects of beavers and allow them to subsist, as well as, you know, the people's, you know, their issues that they have as well.
Those damn beavers?
Yes.
So beaver dams create standing water, which
yes, beavers are
mosquitoes use to breed.
Correct. Beavers are an important aspect of our ecology, and we do recognize that. But they can have some negative aspects. There can be roadway washouts, septic system failures, and for us, it's the creation of new and potential mosquito larval habitat. So in certain instances, if our determinations show that we can do some work there, through our emergency permitting program, through conservation commissions, we'll put in some beaver control devices to lower the amount of water that's in there, but also allow the beavers to continue to subsist in that area.
So is this like a metal kind of other dam with an overflow or something? How do you?
Yes, it's similar to that. What we do is we put a minimal breach in the dam. We feed a culvert pipe through that.
Oh, okay.
And then the culvert pipe extends into the beaver pond, and we put a metal cage around that. Beavers will.
So the beavers can't.
Exactly. Beavers respond to the sound of rushing water. They will go back out and rebuild the dam around the culvert pipe, but since we have that culvert pipe submerged and surrounded by a cage in the beaver pond, they don't get the sense that the water is rushing out, so therefore we can drop the water levels down to a more manageable level.
And how often do you use this beaver control method?
Our beaver program started about 5 years ago, and to date we've done 6 or 7 of these beaver projects in a variety of our communities.
In which communities?
We've done work down in Sherborne, we've done work down in Holliston, and we've also done work in Natick. So it's an area down there, but we're always on the lookout for new and additional projects that this program might work for.
Anything to control our mosquito population is the goal.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a year-round project. You know, we do a lot of ditch cleaning out stagnant ditches.
Ditches, like on vacant properties?
Yes. Any area that once flowed that now does not, through accumulation of organic debris or other things, we'll go in, clean that area out, get that historic flow pattern back, and therefore, by reducing that standing water, we have larval habitat that's also been reduced.
All right, let's back up right to the beginning. Matt, can we pull up that map that we had on the screen earlier? Yes, this map, and pull it up on this main screen. So this is the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project service area.
Yes.
So the different, all the colored cities and towns, that's what you service.
Correct. We have 42 communities in our program. We split them out into 6 different districts to make it more manageable. And each district has at least 1 crew leader and 1 technician assigned to it. And then in the summertime, we schedule each of our communities at least once a week, where we're responding to citizens' complaints for flying mosquitoes, doing applications for those after sunset. We're checking wetland bodies. We're treating catch basins in the streets. We're doing tire recycling, et cetera. So there's a lot of work that's being done in the summertime.
Yep, so Fitchburg, I know Fitchburg is a member, Leominster is a member, you said Gardner just became a member.
Yes.
Now, Lunenburg as well, and then there are a number of cities and towns that are not members of the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. Is it an optional membership? What are the benefits to cities and towns to join the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project?
Well, we are a state agency, but we're unique insofar as communities have the option to be part of our program. So through town meeting or city council vote, a community can join into our program, and then an assessment is calculated by the Department of Revenue, and that amount is withheld from the local aid package and put into our budget. Historically, around Bristol, Norfolk, and Cape Cod, there was a lot of concerns about mosquitoes for tourism and then the Triple-E virus. So all of the communities down in those areas on the South Coast are currently members of their subsequent districts. The East Middlesex District has a fair number of communities in Middlesex County. Most of the other communities in Middlesex County are part of our program, and then we also have communities in Worcester County. Then there's a large gap between Worcester County going out to the Berkshire County. Although the Pioneer Valley just recently formed a district, and they're currently going through the process to get communities into their program as well.
Oh, all right. So what are the benefits to the community? You know, like why would a community not join?
It's difficult to say. I do meet with a lot of these communities that are not currently part of the program. We do answer a lot of questions about the impacts our pesticides have on the environment. We feel that the pesticides we use have very minimal damage to the environment. We take this situation very seriously. Honeybees, for example, are a hot button topic and have been for a number of years. Since 2007, there's been a state policy in place for mosquito control that we're not allowed to spray until after sunset and only before sunrise.
In order to mitigate any damage to honeybees.
Exactly. You know, despite the fact that the pesticide we're using is a very dilute amount and a non-residual type of pesticide, we still can further decrease the impacts on honeybees by spraying when they've entered back into their hives for the night. And because of these policies, we actually have a fair number of beekeepers that will call us to spray on their property, and we just give them a few hours notice. They'll put a bed sheet over their hive while the spraying takes place, and then the next day everything is just fine.
All right. So let's talk about the services that you provide, like you've touched upon a few. I know for the citywide cleanups in the spring that the Central Mass Mosquito Control guys in the truck are always there to collect tires. And there's always a truck full of tires almost every single week.
Right. We coordinate very closely with our local health departments. And Steve Curry at the Board of Health has been a very good advocate of ours, as well as the mayor of Fitchburg as well. And for the past several years, we've participated in the ward cleanups that's held at IC Credit Union. This past year alone, we took in over 100 tires from area residents. Just coincidentally, on last Friday, we have a curbside pickup as well, where residents can send the information into our program.
They can go right to your website and sign up for a free curbside pickup of any tires that they have on the property. Exactly.
And last Friday, we had 6 residents do that. We scheduled a truck and picked up nearly 40 tires.
Wow.
Since this program came into effect in the year 2010, we've collected over 3,000 tires in the city of Fitchburg alone and brought these tires to a recycling facility, and they're completely gone from the environment.
So we've been doing this since 2010
yes.
with Central Mass Mosquito Control.
And I'd also like to mention the local DPW has been very helpful for us as well, because
they're the best.
When we have overflow at these hazardous waste collections, they're very good about allowing the overflow to go to their town barn, which we will then go out and pick them up afterwards.
Hazardous waste collections?
Yes, that's oftentimes communities will have what they term hazardous waste collections.
A hazardous waste day?
Yes.
And do you participate in that as well?
In many of our communities, we coordinate with those as well. So there's ward cleanups that's done in the city of Fitchburg, for example. Then a lot of the other communities will do hazardous waste where residents can bring paint and solvents and pesticides.
Yeah, we do that.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. So the tire recycling, as you mentioned, is offered as a value-added service to our residents. Does not cost anything. So if you have tires you can bring to the curb, go on our website, give us a call, let us know. When we have a truck scheduled to the area, we'll come by free of charge. And again, that same day, those tires are brought to a facility in Littleton where they're ground up almost immediately and used in road products or fuel for the paper mills up in Maine.
Perfect. And the reason for that is that often tires sit outside and will get standing water and are mosquito breeding magnets.
Exactly. And the species that prefer to develop in tires fires also carry West Nile virus. So we get a good twofer there.
Really? They're not just every mosquito?
No.
They're not just like every mosquito's dream mansion?
There's 52 species of mosquitoes that's been identified in Massachusetts. About 15 of those we're concerned about.
Like this guy?
Exactly. That's actually a female Aedes albopictus resting on the surface of the water, probably just emerged from the water as a pupa. What then happens is their wings are very wet, so they stay on the water for about 10 minutes or so. The wings will dry, then they'll fly and look for a mate.
Is this a West Nile mosquito?
That is a potential West Nile mosquito, a potential Zika mosquito, a virus we heard a lot about a few years back, have not heard nearly as much about lately. But unfortunately for Aedes albopictus, it likes to bite people during the daytime. Oh. So it's relatively unique. There's a salt marsh mosquito that does the same. And it's more challenging for us because our applications are done at night.
Right.
So they're not necessarily as impacted. So we do target their larval habitat much more specifically when we've identified albopictus in an area.
Mm-hmm. So the tire pickup, that's absolutely free to residents. Mm-hmm. And then also you do spraying, like you said, to the communities at large.
Yes.
As you determine it is necessary, but
yes.
you also will come to residents' homes at request.
Yes, the spraying program works two ways. First is by resident request. They can put a request through our website, which we encourage them to. They can certainly call one in as well. And then on a scheduled evening, a technician goes out, has a route assigned to him. If you put in your request through the website, we started a new system this year where notifications are done electronically. And then the spraying is done after sunset, and then residents, if they need us to return a few weeks later, can put a subsequent request in. If we identify virus in a community, we then coordinate with our local health officials, and we need to determine what the best response is. Unfortunately, we're starting to see a lot of virus in Massachusetts. The map that's on the screen right now is the most recent.
Oh, can we pull up this map, Matt, on the screen?
It's the most recent risk level map that Department of Public Health puts.
And so what are the yellows?
The yellows are moderate risk. That recently changed.
Moderate risk of West Nile virus.
Yes. 3 urban centers in the state, Pittsfield, Worcester, and Boston, went from low to moderate on that
Just
day
recently.
of July 19th. Exactly.
And so we're low. Fitchburg's low.
Currently, we're at low. We don't know what's going to happen. Indications are that we're going to start to see a bit more West Nile virus in some of our areas. But if we do in the city, again, we'll coordinate with our local Board of Health. The word will get out as best we can through social media, through website, through press releases, and then we'll do these applications, which is strictly just an extension of the resident request type application. It's truck-mounted equipment done after sunset. It's a 4% solution of pesticide that's done, and people's exposure to it tends to be practically nil.
So I think that it happened last year, late in the season in Fitchburg, like a community-wide spraying due to, so let's just back up. Where would you start? You'd start by the testing of mosquitoes.
Yes.
So you do that regularly in all your service areas. You regularly trap and test different breeds of mosquitoes.
Different species, and they're tested for West Nile virus, Triple E virus, and any other viruses that Mass Public Health determines to be important at that time.
And then if you find a hit on one of the mosquitoes, then you will you'll determine a spraying schedule for an affected determined affected area?
Yes, we have to look at a lot of factors. What virus is it? What is the risk from that virus? The species it was found in, is that species increasing? Is it decreasing? What time of year is it? What's the current weather?
There's a lot of factors in your algorithm of determining spray.
If we find West Nile virus in late September, early October, nights tend to be cool, people are inside, school's back in session, exposure would expect it to be less, and we may not even have the appropriate spray window at all. But again, we want to communicate as much information to our communities so that we can work together and determine what the best response is.
Okay, so on that note, I remember this happened last year, and I spread, the information as best as I could on social media, and a number of people were upset that they were spraying poison on their street.
Right.
And what can we do to stop it? And so, there are those people that believe that, they don't want any of this,
right.
And how do you opt out? spraying.
There is an exclusion process through the Mass Department of Agriculture. That's the state agency that we fall under. So there's a link on our website. You could also do a quick Google search, which will bring you right to their page. There's an electronic version which would come to our office generally within 5 minutes. There's also a paper version for people that don't have computers. But there is the ability to exclude your property from these types of applications. And once we get that, we put it on our GPS units in our trucks. They're also put into our electronic spray systems as well. And then, you know, in case of a computer crash or something like that, the technicians also keep a paper copy of that in their trucks as well. So
if you are concerned about the spraying from Central Mass Mosquito Control when it's shared through Board of Health, through social media, through the City of Fitchburg Facebook website, fitchburgma.gov, then you can literally go and opt out of your property.
Yes.
If you are concerned.
Yes. Yeah. The regulations changed 2 years ago where residents can now opt out at any time of year.
They can just have a blanket opt out.
It is effective for that calendar year. It does expire at the end of the year. But previous to this, the exclusions had to be put in before March 1st. And we did a lot of work to let our communities know that they need to put notices in local cable, local newspapers, et cetera. A lot of residents would then miss that deadline. So we worked with the Department of Agriculture to open it up and then also have the ability to do this online as well, because instead of mailing a letter to their town clerk, which was once the process, now by doing it electronically, as I stated, generally it's to our office within 5 to 10 minutes.
Right.
So we can get those integrated in the system almost always within 1 business day.
And if you just go on Google and search Central Mass Mosquito Control Project,
yes,
then you'll get the website.
Yes.
But otherwise, what is the URL?
I don't have the. It's a long URL.
It's a long. Yeah. Just go and search Central Mass Mosquito Control Project, and you'll find the website.
Yeah, or pesticide exclusion Massachusetts. It'll come right up.
Okay.
And it's also important to note too, the pesticides we're using are very dilute pesticides.
That was going to be my next question. Let's talk about the pesticides that you use.
The pesticide we use is called edofenprox. It's a synthetic pyrethroid.
Pyrethroid.
Yes, pyrethroids are synthetic copies of pyrethrum, and pyrethrum is a naturally occurring pesticide from the chrysanthemum flower.
Is that the stuff that you spray on your clothes to
That's pyrethrin. It is very similar. Pyrethrin is also synthetic.
To keep the ticks off.
Yes. A lot of people ask us, why don't you use pyrethrum? Because it's a natural compound. That's a good question. It's very expensive, but I wouldn't let cost be the determining factor. The main factor is pyrethrum is actually significantly more toxic to people than any of the synthetic versions. So edofenprox actually has a much lower toxicity than all of the products we would choose to use for other type of pest control, in addition to exposures that we routinely come in contact with: caffeine, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, etc. The edofenprox is a very small amount. It's also a very commonly used product for pet products. So a pet and
like flea
and tick sprays for dogs.
That has edofenprox.
Many of the products have edofenprox. Almost all of them have a synthetic pyrethroid. And a lot of your shampoos for lice are also going to be a synthetic pyrethroid. So a lot of work has been done on synthetic pyrethroids and their effects on people, and it's been determined unless you have a very special circumstance or an extremely long exposure to a high concentration, people don't, it's not expected that people have a negative impact to this pesticide. But again, all the pesticides we use are consumer-based products. They're available over the counter. They're not any restrictive type products that are only available to certified applicators, and a lot of research and data has gone into this. And since we are a state agency, there's a lot of additional regulations that we fall under that private applicators don't necessarily have to follow.
Really? So on that note, what is the difference between your spraying and someone like Mosquito Squad, a private contractor?
Most of the work that they're doing, they're spraying during the daytime, and most of the time they're using a residual type product.
Something that sticks and stays.
Something that sticks and is going to stay for a while. And a lot of those pesticides are very effective and work very well. However, our process is much different because we're not allowed to spray during the day.
Why?
for the protection for honeybees.
Oh, yes.
Again, we're using truck-mounted equipment. Most of your private applicators are using handheld equipment that they can avoid the flowering plants that would be on the label to avoid anyway. They're also using some of the what are called eco-exempt type pesticides, garlic sprays and rosemary. A lot of those are exempt from EPA registration. A lot of people think that because they're exempt and or natural, they are either more effective or less toxic to people.
Sounds less toxic
But
to
that's
me.
that's not necessarily
oil.
true, only because they're exempt from EPA registration, there's not a lot of data. There has not been a lot of experiments done on the negative aspects to other insects, the negative aspects to people and pets. So I can't say honestly one way or the other whether they're good or not. A lot of people swear by them. You know, spraying rosemary oil in your yard I'm sure would smell very nice, but whether it works or not and whether it has a greater toxicity than other options, I honestly don't know.
So what are the ways that people can avoid mosquitoes in their yard? Is there anything that they can do?
Absolutely.
to keep them away?
There's a lot that people can do. Know the mosquitoes' most active time periods, except for those 1 or 2 species that are active during the day.
Right when the sun goes down.
All of the others are active when the sun starts to go down up until about midnight, and then there's another active period from about 2 a.m. to about sunrise.
Really?
Yes. So they can, you know, moderate and change the timing of events if possible. If feasible, wear long sleeves, long pants. I know it's hard to do when it's 95 degrees out and 100% humidity. Use repellents that have been registered with EPA. DEET is the gold standard by far. It's been used hundreds of millions of times.
Like off?
Exactly, with almost no negative aspects, but a lot of people still don't like the smell. They don't like the greasy aspect. There are some other products now that have come onto the market that the EPA has approved are effective.
The natural
yes, there's
options?
oil of citronelle. There's a few of them that have come on the market. But again, look for an EPA registration number that dictates that EPA has determined that it's effective and relatively safe for use. And please follow all label directions. So, and then the most important message we're really pushing home is for residents to not allow water to accumulate in their property for more than a week at a time. If you get a bird bath, great. We should all be giving water to the birds, but you need to flush it out once a week. Dump it out, give it a quick scrub, get those eggs out of there, put fresh water in there. You won't have mosquitoes, and the birds will like it much better because the water's nice and
Are bird
clean.
baths a common
They're relatively
mosquito
common, yes. It's not
breeding location?
I would say on any given day, it's not uncommon for the technicians when they do a survey to find at least one bird bath that has water in it, that has tiny little insects that are making an S shape, and those are mosquito larvae.
S shape?
Yes.
Oh, like that are walking on top of the water?
They're in the water swimming. They're called wrigglers, but they make an S shape when they move.
Ooh, the little worm things.
Exactly. So if you have a tarp covering your wood pile, if
there's a little water on it?
There's a little water on it. If you had you know, water in the kiddie pool and then you threw it off to the side, forgot about it. Tires, as you know, buckets. Absolutely. A wheelbarrow, I've been guilty of that myself.
Oh, a wheelbarrow.
If it accumulates water for more than a week, it could potentially have mosquito larvae in it.
And how many mosquitoes would you add to your yard if you forgot
really,
a bucket?
Some people say that a bottle cap can produce a couple of hundred mosquitoes a year.
A bottle cap?
One bottle cap, a few hundred per year, just that small amount of water. So if you have...
They're efficient.
Exactly. You have one of those 5-gallon buckets that maybe had some paint in, has 3 inches of water. You're probably generating a few hundred, maybe a few thousand on a weekly basis. And those mosquitoes tend to stay very close to that water source. So they're not going to move around very far, and they love to bite people.
Can we pull up this picture that's on the screen here, Matt? Fight the bite. Here we go. Yeah, so here's a pretty, oh, and you have this, this is from the city of Worcester?
Yeah, it's a partnership we have with them as well as the Public Health Division. Some good advice for people.
Pet dishes, if you have dog dishes that are outside.
Again, your dog's going to want fresh water.
Yep.
So just dump it out once or twice a week.
Yeah. Cover recycling bins and other containers. And tick control. So you don't do anything with tick control with the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project.
We do not. We're set up as a state agency by legislation. There has been legislation filed for the past 7 or 8 years to bring tick control into our realm. At this point in time, it is not passed. However, we offer advice on tick management. We've had communities ask us, they're putting in new ball fields, for example, or pathways or nature trails. How can they minimize some exposure from ticks? We do education both on our website and in our public meetings as well. Education and advice is generally low cost to almost free. So that is something we will continue to integrate into our program. But as far as any actual collection, sampling, testing, or control, there's none being done by the districts at this time.
There's no current state agency that handles ticks.
Right. It's all either private applicators or homeowners doing it themselves.
That seems kind of important. Yeah.
I would think so, because most people...
Ticks are, you hear a lot more disease getting spread by ticks than you do with mosquitoes.
When you meet someone...
no offense.
When you meet someone, if they haven't had Lyme disease, someone they know has.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, there's other viruses and bacteria that are starting to come in as well.
There's dozens of
There's anaplasmosis,
names,
there's babesiosis, there's now tick fever, powassan virus. So it's definitely something we're watching. It's something we're learning and educating ourselves about. But again, it would take, literally an act of Congress for it to...
literally an act of Congress.
In order for us to start doing any serious work with that.
All right, so we have a couple minutes left. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you'd like to speak about what Central Mass Mosquito Control Project is doing in Fitchburg?
I think you've done a very good job. I think yes, I think a lot of the messages, we're not just about spraying. A lot of people see the trucks, they see the website, the spraying is going to happen. I'm against pesticides, or conversely, I want my yard sprayed every single week, because we hear both sides of it. There's a lot more that gets done, and a lot of it is behind the scenes. A lot of it is done outside of the public eye. The ditch maintenance program, for example, that I talked about, in our 42 communities on any given year, we clean 25 miles of stream, and almost all of those are done by hand. It's a couple of crew members with rakes and clippers and chainsaws cleaning out ditches, mucking it out, getting the water to flow again. So again, that's something that's done. It's very labor intensive, but it's a non-pesticidal approach. It's done, it has a very long-term effect. Generally, we can get many years out of an effective control just by cleaning out a ditch system. I myself, I was a field worker for 15 years. I remember a large project we did in the town of Natick. Prior to that, there were many times I had to go to these neighborhoods and spray for mosquitoes. Subsequently, we went in, we cleaned the ditch systems in those areas. It took us about 2.5 weeks because there was a lot of work there. Subsequently, for 3 to 4 years after that, I received almost no requests from those areas to have any spraying done. So it's anecdotal. I don't have the scientific evidence to back it up.
So proactive rather than reactive approaches.
Exactly. All of our work is proactive, controlling them in the larval habitat before they hatch. A lot of people would say, well, but spraying is reactive. You're waiting, or it's too late before they've come out. But my answer to that is, a lot of the spraying that we're doing, we're killing mosquitoes before they're coming infected with virus as well. So yes, we identify virus. We know that the mosquito has bitten a bird with the West Nile or Triple E, become infected. So some may say that's a reactionary measure. I'm not going to dispute that fact. Let's not split hairs. What we're trying to do
a lot of proactive measures.
Exactly. We're trying to minimize risk from mosquitoes and mosquito bites and mosquito exposure. A lot of people say, well, a lot of the spray, those mosquitoes, they bite you, but they don't carry disease. Okay, you should answer the phone when we have a mom or dad who's very upset that their 1 or 2-year-old son or daughter has a lot of mosquito bites on them and has a very significant reaction to them, because that does happen very, very common.
Like an allergic reaction.
Allergic reaction, or just a large reaction to the bites themselves. How about a 5 or 6-year-old that continues to scratch at a bite and develops a staph infection? Again,
well, my daughter hasn't gotten a staph infection, but she can't stop itching them.
And again, most of the time, these are rare occurrences. Okay. Okay, but it does happen, and we get those phone calls, and Mass Public Health gets those as well. So again, for us, we feel it's important to control mosquitoes at all times. A lot of people claim, you know, we're reducing biodiversity or the impacts for predators. There's no single species that I've ever been informed of that relies solely upon the mosquito for its food source. A lot of people say bats kill a lot of mosquitoes. The data
Do they eat a bunch of them?
The data that
I feel like they do.
The data I've seen, 1 to 2% of their diet comes from mosquitoes. The bats are trying to find a larger meal. They'll much rather go after a moth or a June bug than they would a mosquito, because a mosquito it will probably take 100 mosquitoes to equal 1 June bug. So again, it's really a question of you know, risk management, managing the risk from mosquitoes and the measures that we're employing to try to control them.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks so much for coming
Absolutely.
on. Tim
Thank you for having me.
Deschamps from the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. You can go on Google and search Central Mass Mosquito Control Project. They're also on Facebook as well. And we're going to take a short break, and then I'm going to have Jim Byrne from Expert Pest Control in Fitchburg talk about pest control. Okay. Thanks. All right.
Awesome.
Hi, Sam Squailia here with Troy Thompson and Allie Kane of the No Evil Project that's coming to the Fitchburg Art Museum December of this year. Troy, why don't you tell us what the No Evil Project is?
So basically the idea of the project is to show that people aren't defined by their labels. And we photographed over 7,500 people posing as the 3 wise monkeys: see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. And everyone picks 3 words that describe themselves and writes a good deed to show they're not evil. So the idea is to show there's a wide variety of people doing good stuff in the community. And for this exhibit, we're going to have all people that live, work, and play in the Fitchburg community.
So this is going to be a community exhibit in the community hall at Fitchburg Art Museum.
Literally be part of the exhibit.
Yeah, I know. I came and I saw and I took my picture. And when do the community members have an opportunity to come and take a picture and be a part of this, Allie?
So we have several opportunities this summer. The 2 upcoming are at Free Fun Friday at the Fitchburg Art Museum. That's next Friday, July 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then you can also catch us at the Fitchburg Public Library on July 31st from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. as well.
And what does it look like when we come and we take our picture?
Basically, it goes really quickly. You come in, we get your information, you pose, and then you fill out a worksheet to pick your labels and you write your good deed, and then you're done.
You're in and out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you could be a part of this exhibit for your life.
Yep, exactly. So then you can come to the art museum and actually see yourself up on the wall.
Okay, great. And if we need to schedule a personal, you can also schedule a personal.
Yep. If you go to the website, you want to have your company or organization involved, you can have us come and do a mini photo shoot just for your group.
And for that, you can go to noevilproject.com. All right, so that's Friday, July 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Fitchburg Art Museum, and Tuesday, July 31st at the Fitchburg Public Library from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. All right, go to noevilproject.com for more information. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. Discussing Fitchburg Now. We're talking with Jim Byrne from Expert Pest Control in Fitchburg on South Street.
Yes.
Yes, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be on a show.
All right. Don't want to be a pest, right? Do you get all those puns all the time?
Yes, I get them all the time. After 36 years, yeah. I think I've heard them all.
You've been doing this for 36 years.
36 years.
Mm-hmm. In Fitchburg?
Well, I grew up in Leominster. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I've had this business here this is our 27th year.
Oh, wow.
And I co-owned another one before that, and then I worked for other people before that. So,
okay.
So since I was 23, and that was a long time ago.
So the bugs keep you busy.
Yes, they do. It's never ending, and it will never end.
Yeah. And so you really work, 12 months a year?
Yes, we do.
What do you get in the winter?
From April to October, through the end of October is really when we're crazy busy.
Oh yeah, that's when all the ants come out, right?
Where everything comes out. But in the winter, the last few years especially, I don't know, I wish I had a reason why, but the mice population
Ooh, the mice in the
has
winter.
been enormous. The last few years, we've just got inundated with calls the last couple years.
Oh yeah, they love my house.
And it's not just mice, okay? A lot of rat problems too.
Rats in our area.
Yes.
Rats.
Yes, people think it's a
Really?
big city problem. It is not a big city. Well, it also is.
Well, Fitchburg's kind of like a big city. We
but-
just think we're
I mean, out
we
in the
just
country.
think we're rural.
Out in the country,
There's
it's
rats in
pretty
the
bad
country, too.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we get a lot of calls for that, and of course, so squirrels. We got 3 different kinds of squirrels.
What kinds of squirrels are there?
Gray squirrels, which of course everybody knows what they are.
Yep.
The red squirrels, which are about 1/3 the size of a gray squirrel.
So they're cuter.
So yeah, but they can squeeze through really tight openings.
Like mice.
Yes, and then we also have flying squirrels.
What's with the flying squirrels?
The flying-
how come those adorable little things like to
They
get in our
are
houses?
cute, but they are not cute when they're in your house, chewing your wiring.
No, they're not cute when they're doing that, but they are cute when they're
they
just
are
sitting
cute.
there looking at you.
I cannot deny that. But just because they're cute does not mean they're not destructive.
Right, so what do flying squirrels and other squirrels do to the house that we can't see?
well,
that we can only hear?
Exactly. The first thing
What are
is
they doing?
the noise.
Yeah, what are they doing up there?
Well, they're running around.
Okay.
Okay, they're checking things out. They're scratching and thing. But oh yeah, a lot of times in the middle, because flying squirrels are nocturnal. So they're active all night, and people are trying to sleep, and they're banging on the ceiling. You know, shut up. Okay.
That sounds right.
So yeah, but in mice also, all rodents are nocturnal. All right, so they make a lot of this. The mice and stuff are scratching and running around, and my in-laws used to have their bedroom in the basement, and they had drop ceiling down there.
Oh,
and
it's like a mouse
all night
highway.
long, my mother-in-law would hear across the, you know, and of course rolling acorns, and I mean when it's pitch. You know, when it's nighttime and everything is super quiet,
You hear
rolling
every
an acorn
acorn
across
drop.
a drop ceiling sounds like you're moving a piano. Okay, so yeah, that doesn't make people happy.
So when it comes to mice and squirrels and other rodents, you know, when is the point where you say, okay, I definitely have to get a professional in here? Is it when you see the first mouse, or is it like one mouse? Every house probably has a mouse.
Yeah, but how do you know it's only one?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you.
There's the question of the day.
If you see one mice, how many mice are there probably behind the wall?
Usually way more than the one that you think. So yeah, a lot of times when you're starting to see droppings, things are being chewed open. A lot of times people open up the cereal cabinet, and
There's a hole in the
there's
side.
holes
You're
in
like, oh, hey!
and someone else is eating the cereal besides your kids, you know? So yeah, we did a house yesterday morning. She started, you know, hearing them and then seeing droppings around a washer and dryer, and she's like, no, I am not dealing with this. Okay, so I mean, you don't want to wait until you're overrun. You know, till you open up the cabinets and it's, you know, just droppings galore and mice running everywhere. You don't want to wait till that.
No.
Some people do, but you don't want to wait till that.
You know who likes to wait for that? Husbands.
Yeah, a lot of times the wife will say, yeah, we have a problem, and he's like, you're crazy. Okay, I wish
I'll
I had
take care
$1
of
for
it.
every time I've seen
I'll
that.
take care of it. Let
You
me
know?
get some traps.
Sounds like you have experience in this area.
No, never.
No, never.
No, this is not me. Not my
Yeah,
husband.
your husband's not watching the show, so that's
So I'm at my wit's end. I've seen a mouse. Like, I can't handle it. I call you up. What do you do? What does it look like? What does treatment for mice look like?
Well, we let you, you know, we give you a time and day, and generally we are there at that time and day. Okay.
So you're not like Verizon with a 4-hour window?
No, I hate that myself. Okay, so I'm actually a real stickler for being on time. If you notice tonight, I was half an hour early.
You were, and I appreciate it.
I can't, if I'm going to be 5 minutes late, I'm going crazy, okay, because I like to be on time.
Okay.
But you know, we come in and we ask you a series of questions. You know, are you seeing them? Are you seeing droppings? Are you hearing them? You know, all things that would point toward where the problem is.
The mouse checklist.
Yes. I haven't actually had it put that way, but that works. And then we check around the outside to determine how they're getting in.
Okay, so you physically inspect the exterior of the house.
Absolutely. Okay. The two most common spots are around a garage door. When the garage door is down and you can see daylight from both sides of the garage door, they're getting in that way.
It's like a mouse door.
They love garage doors. There's almost none of them fit tightly. Okay, and the other big one is bulkheads.
Bulkheads.
When the bulkhead is closed, if you can see daylight coming up from the thing, they can squeeze through there.
Mouse can squeeze through
The
there.
rule for a rodent is whatever can get its head in, it can get its whole body through. And that is not a big hole, especially if it's a young mouse. I mean,
Size of
we're
a dime?
talking the size of a dime to a quarter. Okay, that they can fit in. That's a pretty small opening. And I did construction way back when, and trust me, carpenters, and they don't care about holes this big. Okay, they just, okay, close enough.
It's good enough.
It's good, yeah, off to the next job.
Especially if your home is, 40 years old.
Right.
There's probably a number of holes.
Absolutely.
So
I've had people say, oh, my house is airtight, they can't get in. I'm like, are you crazy?
Yep.
Okay, if they want in, they will find a way in. It's almost impossible to completely rodent-proof a house.
Okay, so the first thing you do is you go around, you inspect, you suggest ways to button up the house, and then what?
We use, there's no real answer to that, because it's based on what we find during our inspection.
Okay, so you found a garage door that you can see some daylight. All right, there's some mouse droppings in some different areas of the house, and they hear them in the attic. What do you do?
We're using a combination of baits, traps, glue boards, a variety of different things, but we use different things
for different houses,
for different areas, different situations. That's why I'm saying there's no
hard and fast rule.
Okay.
So you'll lay down traps and do things, and then you'll come back. How many times are you coming back?
A lot of times it's usually only one follow-up, and it's usually 2 to 3 weeks after the initial treatment. Okay, and then we base where we are at that point. Okay, is the problem solved? Do we need to rebait and come back in another visit? But 98% of the time, we do the initial treatment, one follow-up, and you're good for quite some time.
What about squirrels? Do you trap them? Do you poison them?
Okay, well, you cannot poison squirrels.
You can't poison squirrels. That's good to hear.
So most of it is trapping.
So you can poison mice and rats.
Yep.
But you can't poison squirrels.
Yeah, doesn't that,
No, it makes perfect sense to me. Squirrels are adorable.
Well, it's a state law.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, we didn't make the law. The state, says you cannot poison squirrels.
So you have to trap them.
Yes, and exclude them.
Exclude.
Okay, a lot of times we can determine how they're getting in, and we put what's called a one-way door, so they can leave, but they can't get back in.
Okay, like a have-a-heart trap?
Yeah, but it doesn't trap them. All it does is kick them out, or what they leave themselves, and the door closes behind them, and now they can't get back in.
Where do you put that?
A lot of times in attics.
So you'll stick it out like a window?
Okay, you know what a dormer is?
Okay, yes.
All right, a lot of times where the dormer meets the roof, there are gaps in there, and the contractors leave the gaps there on purpose because it allows airflow.
Oh, okay, like a ridge vent?
No. Okay, it's where the bottom of the dormer meets
like
the
an
roof.
eave vent?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and it's usually about that big, but like I said, red squirrels can squeeze right up in there.
So you have a very small
yes.
one-way air gap.
Do it and then screw it in place, and then close off all the holes around it. So that's the only way out. And then when they leave, like I said, the door slams
can't get
behind
back
them
in.
and they can't get back in.
So you'll physically close up the gaps?
Yes. And then after we are sure that all the squirrels are out, then we come back, take the one-way door out, and close off the hole permanently.
All right. That sounds involved.
Yeah, it can be. Okay, and sometimes it's really tricky with really high-pitched roofs, and during the time of the year, if there's a coating of snow on the roof, we won't do it. Okay, I mean, that's like looking to kill yourself, sliding right off the roof.
Let's
okay,
be reasonable. I understand.
Yeah.
All right, Matt, can we pull up the pictures from Expert Pest Control and see some examples of some other pests that we've got going?
Oh,
here's a good one.
Fun tick friend.
All right, I can't stand these guys. How do I keep them off my property?
We have a treatment that we do around the perimeter of the house. It actually works for mosquitoes and ticks.
Mosquitoes and ticks.
So you're getting a double whammy.
Is that with the sprayer, the backpack sprayers?
The backpack sprayer. We also use a granular material along with the fog. And between the two of them, it's kind of a double barrel effect. But it works on both the mosquitoes and the ticks.
Can we pull up the picture of the little backpack sprayer so we can see what that looks like?
Nope.
There
we
it
go.
is. These guys.
Yep. So
Yeah,
we use those.
So you'll use these to fog the yard?
Right. And then we use a hand spreader to do the granular as well. Yep.
And you'll put that around like the perimeter of the property?
Around the perimeter. Usually it's where the lawn meets the wilderness, so to speak.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, everybody has that area where the lawn goes right up to, and then all the grass is this high, and it's trees, and
it's the evil zone.
That's the evil zone.
You like that?
Well said.
Yeah, I hate them. Oh, I hate them.
Not too many people are really. That's their favorite thing.
So now, what do you use for a spray? Is it how toxic is it?
Very, very low. Okay, if it was really bad, okay, people wouldn't want it sprayed around their house, especially in the air.
Well, it ticks.
Okay, so you know, obviously it is toxic.
Yep.
Okay, but it is very, very, very low.
Very low.
Yep.
Okay.
So it won't kill birds and fish and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, good. And you're putting it around the perimeter of your property,
Right.
so hopefully you're not walking out there right after you spray.
Well, usually we advise the people to stay in for like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. Yep. All right. So, and we have you have some other props here.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Oh, is that it with the pictures? We
Sure.
have some
Yeah.
really good pictures.
What else do you have for pictures? Can we flip? Can we flip through them, Matt? Oh,
Okay, that's one of our service
Here's your
vehicles.
fancy truck. What else do we got? Oh, so I see.
The typical basement.
So this is like a mouse paradise, right?
Yes, it is.
Mouse,
Oh
I
my.
bet, you know, a mouse will get in. There's probably a bunch of food somewhere in there.
And there's tons of places for them to hide.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
So what about
yeah.
when someone calls you and said, I have a mouse problem, and you walk into the basement and you see this?
To tell you the truth, this is not that uncommon.
Really?
For the most part, a lot of
Little
times,
like a hoarding
basements,
situation.
The general rule is if you don't have any place to put it, throw it in the basement.
Yeah.
Or the garage.
Yep, that sounds like my house.
Okay, and the garage is generally just about as bad.
My house is more controlled chaos, though.
Okay, well,
Just want to say.
most two-car garages, you can maybe get one car in.
Yes, I can get one car in.
A lot of two-car garages, you can't possibly get a car in.
We have a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
We have stuff.
We are a society of collectors.
Yeah, we are a society of stuff.
And we have a yard sale
I
and
need
get
all
rid
the
of
stuff,
some of it.
and then you go buy more stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
then
'cause
you
you
go
have
to
room.
a flea market on that weekend and buy some more stuff. So,
Yep.
how typical.
All right. What
Next.
else? What's next, Matt? Ooh.
Okay,
what
this
is
is
this?
a really bad termite issue.
Now, do we really worry about termites here in
Absolutely.
central Massachusetts?
That is the
It's more like a
biggest-
south thing, isn't
No,
it?
well, it's more.
More in the
It's
south.
worse in the south. It is really bad here.
Is it really
Yes, okay.
really bad?
Realtors, contractors, I don't know I think the two that perpetuate this myth that there's no termites in New England, and it is a myth, because I have done a whole bunch. Just this year, I've done a whole bunch of termite jobs, and over the years, some just horrible termite jobs.
So how do you know if you might have termites?
All right. Oh boy, you got about 20 minutes? No.
We don't.
Termites, a lot of times when people first see them, people think they're flying ants. They're a black
with the
insect
with the wings.
long wings.
And but those are ants too, aren't they?
See, that's the tricky part. They look very similar to
the flying carpenter
ants. Okay, and that's anytime you get these things and you're not sure, put them in a baggie. We're right on South Street, 967 South Street in Fitchburg, and people bring things all the time.
Right across from Partners Pub.
Yes. And they bring them and they say, "What is this?" And they leave their name and phone number.
How often is it a termite?
Quite often. However,
I've seen that, because I've seen the flying
50-50.
carpenter ant, and I thought, flying carpenter ant.
Okay, well, the carpenter ants are huge.
Yes.
Okay, the
Termites are smaller.
Pavement ants are about the same size as the termite swarmer.
Termite swarmer.
Okay, but the pavement ant swarmers also are winged. So people look at this thing, well, is it termites? Is it ants? Is a can of Raid going to do it, or is it much past that?
Or are they building colonies in my house, my studs?
Are they eating the wood? Are they, so it's better to have them correctly identified and take it from there. Oh, put it back to that last one. That was a great one.
Oh, this guy. What is this guy?
This is a yellow jacket nest.
Yellow jacket, and it's ooh. And what are these little green things?
Those are yellow jackets.
Oh, that's a flash.
Yep.
Ugh.
Okay, but this is an enormous
look at them
yellow
all.
jacket nest.
They're huge.
And that's the thing with these yellow jackets. During the rest of the summer, August, September, we will get a zillion calls for these. These and bald-faced hornets, which are these type of deals here.
Oh, look at this guy. Can we show? Can you get that? Oh, look at that guy. There it is.
Okay.
That is a big nest.
Actually, this is about half as big as the biggest one I've seen.
Really?
Yes.
Do you have that one in like on your wall?
Okay, but these things can be huge, and you do not want to mess with them.
So, at what size nest can I take care of it myself?
Oh boy.
With a can that sprays 20 feet.
I really can't advise even smaller ones.
Okay, because even a smaller one.
Even when they're this big, which we're getting now, they are extremely aggressive. That first batch.
Oh yeah, they don't like getting sprayed.
That hatch are very, very protective of the colony. We've already done several of them this year, and people are getting nailed already.
Oh yeah.
And some of them have died.
Some.
There are people that
some people. Oh.
Okay.
Well, some people are deadly allergic to.
Absolutely, and even if they have an
stings.
EpiPen, sometimes if it's not administered quickly enough, or for whatever reason it does not work, you may not make it.
Ugh.
So there's times to be a do-it-yourselfer, and there's times to say, you know what, I think it's time to call a pro.
Yeah.
That's a great picture.
Oh yeah, this is the red squirrel.
Okay, yep, but like I said, we do really everything. Roaches, ants, bed bugs. Bed bugs have become a huge issue.
Do we have a bed bug problem in Central Mass?
Absolutely. We've been doing lots of bed bug work for several years. For a long time, we weren't really getting any calls. They were like gone. Everybody thought, okay, bed bugs, 40s, 50s, 60s. Right. It was a big deal.
We've taken care of that problem.
Now
you can no longer sell used mattresses. That's right.
If you don't remember anything else from what I say today, when you're driving around and you see a free couch on the side of the road or a free mattress, do not take it.
Right.
Because chances are it'll have bed bugs in it. Okay, and you're gonna bring that baby home, and all of a sudden, geez, I'm starting to get these bites all over me.
Oh, what a nightmare.
Okay, and now you've got them in the house. Now, you do not want, don't take the free furniture. That is not a good idea.
That is good advice, Jim. That is good advice. Now, you don't take care of lice, do you?
No,
Yeah?
that is a medical issue.
Because, you know, my daughter had lice once.
Okay, yeah, that's
Not
a medical
cool.
thing. Yeah.
Not cool.
Yeah, you have to get that medicated shampoo and...
And you got to spend 3 hours.
oh,
all right?
it's not a
You know,
fun...
if I could just call up an expert, all right, and do all that,
Yep.
you know?
Oh, that is not a fun
It might be a
thing.
nice niche, you know, little
Fortunately,
branch up
I have
for
one
ya.
son, and he never had that problem. And from what I've heard, it is not a fun thing.
No.
Okay, so you have to go through everything, wash everything, and oh my.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is not a good
So
thing.
so you don't take care of that.
No. No, we draw the line.
Yeah. So you're not totally full service.
No, not totally.
So what else do you got in your bag of tricks
Bag
there?
of goodies, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see some props.
This is always a favorite, okay?
That looks like is that a structural member or something?
Yes, this was a 8x8 beam.
Oh, wow.
And as you can you, yeah. If you can see
So
all
this
this.
is termites.
Yes. Termites tend to go with the grain
With the grain.
and versus against the grain, like carpenter ants
So
will
carpenter
do.
ants will make little tunnels going the other way.
Yes. And carpenter ant tunnels are usually completely clean, like they're sandpapered.
Oh, because all the dirt gets up the
Yeah,
other
they
side.
kick out all the sawdust, or technically frass.
Frass.
There's a picture back in here that shows a pile of frass in someone's basement like this high from the carpenter ants kicking the wood out.
Matt, can we pull up that picture of the concrete wall with the sawdust at the bottom? Or the frass? Let's see, so people can see. Yeah, that one. Can you put?
Yes.
So if you see that in your basement, you probably have a carpenter ant problem.
And you are way past a can of Raid.
You're way past a small problem.
We have a machine that sends a gas directly into the tunnels and into the nest, and they come boiling out of there. It's basically like sending a tear gas bomb inside the house. You don't care how you get out, you just get out. And that's what they do. And they hit the ground and they squiggle a little bit, and that's the end of that.
And you also have a styrofoam that carpenter
Yes.
ants tunnel into.
Okay. This is my new prop. I thought this is a bug guy. This is very interesting.
Because I didn't think that carpenter ants would go after styrofoam
Yes.
or.
Now
but
this
they
is
do.
a styrofoam insulation board that
Yeah.
they put on top of flat roofing.
Okay. Wow. On the
Okay,
roof.
and they love to get up into this styrofoam because they can tunnel this out, as you can see.
Yeah.
And when the guy first called, he said, I got this big pile of sawdust, and I got there and I felt it, and I said, that's not sawdust.
Uh-oh.
That's styrofoam.
Oh no! What a
from the
nightmare! And then you have to
consistency.
take apart the roof, the rubber roof.
Okay, so I figured out where the sawdust was coming from, or frass.
Frass.
Okay, and then I have that machine that sends a gas up in there, and they came out by the hundreds, just all over the place. But the guy, it's a house he's been working on for a long time, and he did not want this to be left in the roof.
Right.
Okay,
Of course
so
not.
he had the roofer come open it up, and he took it out, and I was like, I'm keeping this because this is a great
prop.
A great prop.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean,
So carpenter ants can make a lot of damage, and if you see any evidence of that, then Expert Pest Control is there for most of your insect.
99 out of 100 things.
Almost
Not
all,
lice.
almost all your insect and animal wildlife problems.
Correct.
You can help eradicate that.
Yes.
All right, so we have like a minute left.
Okay.
Do you want to talk? You want to say talk about your website, your Facebook? I don't know. How do we contact you?
Okay, well, first of all, we're right on South Street, 967 South Street in Fitchburg. You can reach us at 978-343-3300, 800-235-3093, and expertpestcontrol.net.
Expertpestcontrol.net.
Correct.
All right, great. Yeah, so what are the things that you're dealing with right now?
The biggest thing is yellow jacket and hornet nests.
Yeah.
However, fleas are becoming an issue too, because it's been a very hot, humid summer.
Yeah.
And they breed like wildfire under those conditions.
So Expert Pest Control can handle all the little wasp nests that you might have outside, your yellow jackets, anything that's
Your
inside.
termites, your carpenter ants, your all that good stuff.
All these things, and if you see evidence of them, then you want to call right away before it actually turns into a big, giant interior of the wall and attic problem.
Exactly. Get it early.
Good to know. Well, thank you. Jim Byrne.
Yes.
From Expert Pest Control in Fitchburg. And we had Central Mass Mosquito Control Project at the beginning of the show. Thank you so much for coming on and
thank you so much.
Talking about all these pests that are infiltrating our houses. All right, so this is Discussing Fitchburg Now. It was, I'm glad that you're watching, and we'll see you next time, all right? Thanks.
Great.
Yeah, this is a good show.